Heather, firstly, looking back at your international career, over 200 appearances for the USA national team, can you pick out any key moments, highlights?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm very fortunate to say that I was part of the national team for a long time, nearly almost 15 years, so it was almost half my life. So I have incredible memories of, big tournaments and even almost like the small moments, like outside the field. But I would say in terms of memorable football moments, I think here in London actually in 2012 was the Olympic Games, and we won gold. And in one game in particular, I came off the bench in the semifinal and was able to put in the game-winning assist across to Alex Morgan in like the 123rd minute. We were probably going into penalty kicks like momentarily, and I think that moment to me was just really special because you play a lot of roles on a lot of teams. Sometimes you're a starter, sometimes you're a reserve, sometimes you're the oldest player, sometimes you're the youngest player, but as long as you do your role to the best of your ability, I think that that's what makes good teams elite. And for me to be able to contribute in that moment, that very, very important moment, was pretty epic. And it was also at Old Trafford, where Manchester United plays, so it was just a very cool setting, and my family was there, and I remember just giving my husband the biggest hug after the game, because he knows like through the ups and downs of football, it's about grit and it's about perseverance and determination.
When you played in London, did you think, one day I want to come back and play here in the WSL?
I think I've always just sort of had in my mind that I would play overseas at some point in my career, and I had never done it. I've always just played in the U.S. with the U.S. national team and in the club system in the U.S., and I sort of always had this desire, especially to just come to a big club in England. I think, there's a lot of really strong leagues throughout Europe, specifically in Germany and Sweden, and even France obviously has some top teams in PSG and Lyon, but I wanted to be part of a big club like Arsenal. The tradition here is so strong, and I've known Kelly Smith for years, and of course Alex Scott, of course, as well, when she came over to play in the U.S. So I had a little bit of familiarity with Arsenal, and it just seems like such this amazing tradition and this amazing club to be part of, and it's been a lot of fun. I've been here since January, and I'm learning every single day, and I'm growing, I think, on and off the pitch.
How much of an influence has Kelly Smith had on your career?
She has had a big influence. I think as a young player growing up in New Jersey, I heard of this legend Kelly Smith because she came to the U.S. to university in New Jersey, and she was her scoring rate was just incredible. I don't know, it was probably like nearly 3 goals a game, something ridiculous like that. And so I just sort of knew her as the myth of Kelly Smith. And then there was a couple summer teams that I was part of, sort of semi-professional teams, and actually got to play with Kelly. So I remember asking her for some tips. Specifically, I remember asking her about turning and receiving with the ball, and she was very, very sweet and very generous with her time with me as a younger player. And now I've kind of followed her to her land over here. But yeah, she's been an incredible leader, I think, in the women's game, with England, with her time in the U.S., and of course what she's done here at Arsenal.
In 2004 in the Olympics, you were a young footballer and you were playing with the likes of Mia Hamm. What was that like?
Oh, it was very special. I think for me as a young player to be brought into the national team was like a dream come true, and these were players that were on my bedroom walls, and posters and stuff like that. So for me to get called up to compete with them and try to find playing time with them was really an interesting thing for a 17-year-old to go through. But I mean, the fact that I played with some of those household names in America was such an honor, and then to be part of 2004 Olympic team that we were able to win gold and sort of send them out as champions, which they really deserved because they sort of paved the way for a lot of players in my generation in the U.S. These women had, competed in World Cups when there was nobody in the stands, and they were working other jobs, but still just committed to excellence. And I think that I recognized that as a young player, the drive, the training mentality, the competitiveness, the willingness to push themselves and those around them. I picked that up from those veteran players, certainly, and I try to do the best of my ability to sort of live my life like that and play my game like that and carry that tradition on the U.S. team. So I'm proud of doing that. I always considered myself sort of like a culture carrier because I saw sort of what it took, and I try to pass that along to younger players that I'm playing with.
Moving on to your Arsenal teammates, you live with Jodie Taylor. What was that like? Good housemate?
Oh yeah, Jodie was a great roommate. We don't live together anymore because I moved to be like just with me and my husband. But no, Jodie was great. We were very compatible roommates. She's very tidy. She cooks a lot more than me. I'm usually the one that's going out to eat because I'm too lazy to cook up. So she was my inspiration with just cooking up a little bit more. But yeah, Jodie's a great girl. I've known her since her time in the U.S. a little bit more. But yeah, she's very also dedicated to being the best player that she can be. She's always sort of taking care of her body, doing things the right way. So in that way, she was a fantastic roommate and somebody that I really enjoy playing with.
And if you could pick another teammate to live with, who would you pick?
Oh man. Well, Dan Carter is probably one of my best mates on the team. I say mates now. Usually I said friends, but I'm trying to convert to the vernacular over here. But yeah, Dan and I are good mates, but we would probably kill each other, sort of. We're kind of like one of those friends that are get on each other's nerves, but in a good, healthy way. So I think that we would have a lot of fun together, but sometimes we might be shut the door, lock it just for a few hours.
Do you mind that Dan Carter has the number 9 jersey here?
Well, I wore number 9 for a long time. I love number 9, but at the end of the day, Dan's been here at this club for a long time. So I'm happy to just get whatever number that I'm given at Arsenal Football Club. But I really admire that about Dan. She's been here, I think, 8 years, and people like Dan and Leah Williamson and Jordan Nobbs, they've been at Arsenal Football Club for so long, and I really think that that's pretty special because in the U.S. we've had so many different leagues that there's not that long-standing commitment to a club. So I look at that and I look at the way that they've developed through the system, and I really admire it. And so you know what, Dan can have number 9, but she just needs to play hard in it. And I know she does.
Thank you.